Welcome to Just Blazor Programming. Forgive me, I am a little under the weather, but we'll continue on today's video. Today we're going to be discussing packages, specifically how to choose the right packages and libraries in order to add to your project. So what is it that I'm talking about? Well, have you ever gone to GitHub and decided, I want to put this in my library, it looks pretty good, I'm going to add it into my project, I'm going to do this and that. Well, it's fun in games if you are just testing out things, there's no problem with it. I encourage the curiosity aspect and the tinkering aspect of programming. That's kind of some of the fun bits of it, in my opinion. But when you are getting down to the brass ticky-tacks, aka when you are trying to create a project for, let's say, a client who's actually paying you money, or if you want to add a project for a company that you might work for, things are a little different. You have to ensure that that particular package or library is up to snuff, aka that it is properly created. You're not gonna have any issues with it. If you do have issues with it, you have recourse, and if there is some new stuff or new problems, it will be either updated through support, or there are ways for you to actually understand what's going on. So today we're going to be discussing how to choose the right package for your project. Now, this is going to be just a generalized kind of advice, but this is advice that I would follow in order to avoid problems down the line, especially if you decide to put in that wrong package in your project, and then that will open up a whole world of hurt. So you don't want to be that guy. So in order to get started, I'm going to look at a actual package that I say it's very, very close to being up to snuff, but it's not there yet, and it's something that I would not be using in an actual production level environment unless we're experimenting, or if I want to create just a side project for myself and I'm cool with the risk, basically. So what we have here is something called Full Stack Hero. Again, I don't want to pick on this package. I think the package looks pretty good, and I am actually really interested in trying it out for maybe a video in the future. So don't think that I'm picking on this because I think it's a bad thing. I just think it is missing a lot of the elements that I was talking about earlier in my intro. So if we go to the GitHub for this, like this is just a web page. I'll get on this in a second. If we go to the GitHub, one of the things I look for is to see how often they make changes to it, make commits, all that stuff. So the last time the actual author made a commit here was on June 21. So that's not too long ago, it's fine. It is, like 4 months ago? So that's his last pull request. But the actual last pull request made by anyone was this guy named Yanger here. Not the doxer or whatever, but everything else came from bots. So I believe these are probably updates. Yeah, these are just updates to different versions of the packages that they use inside there, the different libraries. But the last actual commit created was July 26th. So there hasn't really been any activity in the last 3 months, more or less. And that's a little it gets a little, 3 months is not horrible, but it's not, I would like to see a little bit more activity. Or if if a package has like a lot of usage out of it, or has like already a lot of, what do you call it? It's really well known, then that's a little bit different, but this package is not really well known, and I think it should be continuously supported. So here's another example. The other thing that I look for whenever I want to look for a package to add to a project, especially a project that's for an actual production level environment, something that goes to clients, something like that, is documentation. Documentation is super important whenever you decide a project. And if Full Stack Hero documentation are both here on the GitHub. So, oops, go to it. So you have basically very standard stuff here. How to get started. That's really good to have the actual commands that you can have here, but that's really all it has. So that means that we have to go find documentation on this person's website, which is right here. So we go down. Okay, so we have basically this was written in the GitHub we just saw. We have the IDE, the SDK, standard stuff for .NET stuff. We have a getting started, so a little bit more details compared to the GitHub page. We have some fundamentals, that's pretty good. Basically, it's just introducing you to the project and showing you what it can bring. It has this authentication piece, which is which I like, but it's very, very simple. So I'm guessing this is something that already is brought in. It doesn't really teach you what actually goes on behind the scenes, but I'm glad that at least it has something already set up. Then we have a homepage, so it has its own homepage. Now, again, not much information, just tells you that we have a homepage authentication ready for you. It's meant to basically, it's a boilerplate, so it's meant to get you just started right away without you actually doing much. What's this? Oh, dashboard. There's nothing here. We go to the account, nothing here either. Logs, nothing here. Catalog management, nothing here. User management, nothing here. Nothing here. Nothing here. Yeah. You get what I'm you get where I'm getting at. There's very incomplete documentation here, and if I'm supposed to take this, to actual production and try to get code reviewed, or try to get this, try to vouch for it in order to add to a project, let's say for a company or whatever, it's going to be very difficult to make my case because it doesn't even have the right documentation. They're going to say, no, it's not enough. So that's one of the things. The other thing is, I would look at is the license. So this one has an MIT license, which is a good thing. It's one of the licenses that I look for in order to add into a project if I don't feel like paying for it. Now, there are cases where you're gonna pay for like a licensing fee, because that's how they operate. So if you go for one of these bigger companies who actually create these packages like Telerik or the other one, damn, I forgot, but I'll get back to you. So Telerik is an example of I guess Identity Server 6 is another example of a licensed package, even though a licensed product, even though that they allow you to get up to $1 million in profit before they start charging you. But an MIT license is pretty good to have, especially if you're using multiple packages or packages that you just need for very specific purposes and you don't want to deal with the whole licensing thing. So what I would do if I were you, if you don't know anything about licensing, just have a quick glance over choosealicense.com. This is GitHub's I think GitHub made this website in order to show you the differences between the different licenses. So the 3 licenses that I normally recommend to people is the MIT license. That usually gives you all the rights you basically need to use it in your project. Doesn't matter what it is. The GNU license is a little bit more iffy because there are limitations to it. I believe in the GNU, you can't have it within a closed source system. So basically, it can't just be a product that is proprietary, essentially, in that sense. And then you have the Apache licenses and all these other licenses here. .NET, I believe, uses the MIT license. So, you can use it for basically anything you want. So this is another thing that I will look at. If they have a weird license or they don't have a license, then that might get a little weird. Normally, I would like my projects to have a license attached to it, even if it's just the MIT license, whatever it is, so that in the future I know that I won't have any liability. So that's something you should think about. Is there anything else here, really? Also, the number of stars, people watching. This is usually a good indicator of how much interest there is. The more interest there is in your package or your library or whatever, the more people are going to use it, and the more people will find the bugs in it, and the more chances you have to actually fix them. That's the whole point. It gets properly QA'd by the community, and then you get to go back and fix it. So a good example of this where I would actually use in an actual project is Blazor. So I know I use Blazor a lot here on this channel. We all know about it. But Blazor is a very good example of having the things I'm looking for. It has the MIT license. It has a lot of people using it. 4.2K is a pretty decent amount. That means that these are the people who just went out of their way to put the star, but there's probably more people who actually have used it. If I went to the pull requests, when was this? 2 days ago. So it's being constantly updated, very, very about 2 days, 4 days, 5 days. It's consistently being updated on a daily basis. It's a much bigger project. There's probably a bigger team behind it. There's more use for it. It's a much more well-known project. So you have gone through the canary in the mine phase of your package. So you know that there are a lot of people who have a lot of eyes on it. So with that, we will go into the documentation. Now, this has a pretty decent documentation. All the components have been documented. There, it shows you what it is, gives you some code, explains to you. Even if you go down here to the API section, let's say we go to the alert API, you also get to see exactly what kind of behaviors, what kind of parameters you have to use it. So within the actual Blazor component, this is a Blazor component-based library. Not only that, but obviously you have your getting started page. We have some layouts here. There's a lot of stuff that you have to get started, and I've done this already quite a few times on this channel, as you know. and done a few projects on this channel, so you could always check them out. And I love good documentation. Now, the reason why I like it, because, you know, obviously if you have like very simple questions that you want to ask about the certain library or package you want, you should have the documentation ready to go. It should be visible, readable, and easy to just sift through. Unlike the Microsoft documentations that you're probably used to seeing, I'm not a big fan of those as much. They do have all the information you probably need, but it's really obtuse to read. It's kind of annoying. So if you're looking for any, here's the plug, by the way, wink, wink. If you're looking for any easier way of getting the Blazor syntax out there, Blazor references, you can go to my Blazor cheat sheet and go to my site, justblazor.com. Get your free cheat sheet right there. And if you're someone looking for some software development consulting, aka you are on your career path and you just need somebody with experience to guide you along that path wherever you are, you can have a free call with me, a free session for 15 minutes. Remember, I only take 4 people for the 1-hour sessions in a month. So already a few people have taken up half the month of November, and a few have already taken up the other 2 weeks of November. But there are still some slots left for the 15 minutes, and some slots left for the 1 hour. So take advantage of that. Look below in the description. Anyways, back to what else I would look for. Apart from the packages and documentation, I also look for active support. I don't know how active the support is here. There's just one person, it looks like, with maybe a few other people that are adding to the pull request. But Blazor seems to be fairly supported, and I believe that it actually has other products in here. So if I go distantly into Blazor, all right, whatever. Let's see what else we got here. So it has a really big community. We have a lot of people downloading it. A lot of contribution. A lot of people just using it. So that means that if you have any problems, then unfortunately it doesn't look like they have like a licensing thing or like an actual what do you call it? They don't have like formal support, but they do have a community that actually supports you. So you have a Discord server with all those things in the GitHub. So that's pretty decent for a free package. Like, you know, there's only so much you can ask for a free package. The fact that there is a community behind it is what I expect usually. If these packages are not making money off the package themselves, then, you know, that's the best you can ask for. Just having a community of people that are going through the motions of actually downloading into their projects and using them and all that stuff. So when it comes to the more paid things, like, you know, the Telerik packages, like Telerik, like Identity Server, then you expect to have actual support. You're paying for that license for a reason, and it's usually a lot of money per person. So you have to have actual good support, hopefully 24-hour support. You could email or you can call or whatever it is you have to do. So that's what I would look for when it comes to paying for those licenses. When it's free, you kind of have to deal with the fact that they probably don't have a dedicated team for it, but Blazor has a community, which is the closest thing you're probably going to get to this. So again, not to pick on our full stack hero, I think he made a pretty decent startup product. I had to try it. I haven't tried it yet, but it looks pretty decent from here. It's just that, unfortunately, it does not meet the requirements for someone for me to take seriously and put it into an actual production level environment until at least all the documentation is done and I see a little bit more people using it. It looks pretty good. So hopefully if you're out there and you feel like using this, maybe you can give it a try and you tell me whether or not you like it. This was requested by someone in the comment section, by the way, so I do read your comments. And that's pretty much it. I don't really have much else to say. There are usually, just to wrap up, there are 4 requirements that I look for when it comes to choosing the right packages. I look for the license. I look for how frequently they are updated, whether or not it has support, and whether documentation is really, really good and easy to read. So that's all there is to it for today. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Just Blazor programming on.